Sonic Frontiers. I really don't know what else to say. The game sure came out. It's pretty solid. I have very mixed feelings about this game though. I could not stop tell you things I have issues with in this game, but like, I still really enjoy myself playing it. I am not okay. It's not a game like Forces or Lost World where I'm just completely stone-faced throughout the entire game time. I just had a pretty fun time with this game overall. So whatever you thought of the game, whether you hated it or liked it, there's one thing everyone can unanimously agree is amazing. The fishing minigame! Yeah, baby! Fishing! You got big, you got fish, you got Sonic, woo! Oh yeah. The boss fights are pretty cool too. Each island sees Sonic getting the Chaos Emeralds and transforming into Super Sonic to take on the island's Titan. Well, every island has this if you count Ubisoft Towers as Titans, and Sonic getting corrupted for 2 seconds as Super Sonic. These fights are probably one of the most commonly liked parts of the game. Even the people I know who don't really like this game are like, yeah, those boss fights are really great. But are they really that good? Which ones are the best ones? That's what I'm gonna decide as the one authority on all things Sonic. See, recently I found this really cool mod for the PC version of Frontiers by Game Banana users Acrolo, link in the description. So this got me wanting to replay all of them, and I figured I'd rank them because life has been getting boring and repetitive, so may as well do something with my time, and making a video about stupid blue hedgehog game boss battles seemed like the best options. I'll be ranking these boss fights on a few factors. The gameplay of it, basically just how fun the bosses are to fight, the scale and spectacle of the fight, and of course, the music. I'll be talking about them in order, by the way, not in the rank order. The ranking is at the end. As the first main boss fight of Sonic Frontiers, we've got Ava Unit 1. Since they're part of the boss fight, I also want to talk about the part where you actually climb the Titan to grab the Chaos Emerald. It's fine. These parts always just feel kinda pointless to the fight. They're either just really easy or so damn annoying. We'll get to that with Wyvern. But anyways, when you climb Giganto using these weird boost ring things that Asura also use, you grab the Chaos Emerald and turn into Adventure Super Sonic, mod link in the description. But yeah. This is just a really fun fight. It's very vanilla, but honestly that's all it really needed to be. It lets you get used to the way Super Sonic fights for when the next few fights get all insane with these set pieces and quick time events. This is just such a strong first impression for the first boss of the game. Just fighting Giganto using all your moves and experimenting to do as much damage to him as you can is just great. Super Sonic being just a more powerful Sonic is amazing. It's the exact way that you should handle him. Past games just have you run into the boss getting knocked back by random rocks or orbs or whatever, but this game just makes Super Sonic feel like the absolute unstoppable force that he is. Beating the shit out of these giant monsters and tossing them around like it's nothing. When I first heard that theme, my mind was actually blown. With a great finisher, this is a solid way to start off the bosses. Did everything it needed to do and set the groundwork for the rest of them. It's amazing. This is the best one so far, but it's also the first one. Holy shit, is that the Ocean Angel from Neon Genesis Evangelion? As the second main boss fight of Sonic Frontiers, you have a giant chase with Wyvern throughout the entire island. Can I just say this is my favorite set piece out of any of these bosses? I just love the scenery of Sonic just flying after this giant snake monster throughout the entire island. It's such an amazing visual. Though I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, let's start with climbing onto Wyvern. See, this is the annoying one. It just goes on for way too long for its own good. So first you have to climb this whole tower, then wait for Wyvern to swoop down to you. Then you jump onto him, chase after him on this freaking quick step path for for like way too long, then get the Chaos Emerald and turn into Supersonic. My main problem is this quick step segment. It just goes on for way too long, and honestly this whole chase segment would be way better if it was either shortened or removed. Alright, side tangent over. Now time for the main event. As I mentioned before, this boss consists of you chasing down Wyvern as he fires missiles back at you, and you need to avoid them in order to reach him. Avoiding these missiles is super annoying though. I don't know, I always just have a really hard time actually seeing them coming, so I end up getting knocked around a lot. It's really tedious to actually reach Wyvern at least, which is what I was gonna say until I realized that you can just parry the missiles, and with how broken the parry is in this game, you can just holding down the parry buttons, wait for the missile to hit you, and then the missile bounces right back at Wyvern, then you get like an instant burst of speed to immediately catch up to him. That's great and all, but now I just have the opposite problem. This just makes the fight way too easy. In general, this guy just feels less good to fight than Giganto did. Don't get me wrong, a lot of it is way cooler. The quick time events and cutscenes add so much more scale and spectacle that get you so hyped up. But that leads into one of my issues with this fight. The parry attack animation. See, in the Giganto fight, you did the Grand Slam after parrying. Just did this quick little attack animation where you went right back to fighting the guy. It felt great and kept up the flow. In this fight though, you grab Wyvern, it loads this cutscene where Sonic swings him around for a while, tosses him into some rocks, then it just resets you at the beginning of the chase. Don't get me wrong, it's actually awesome, but like, it's just annoying to have to re-reach Wyvern after using the Grand Slam. Kinda messes with the flow of combat. Still a good fight, don't get me wrong. It also has an amazing finish, just like Giganto, where Sonic force feeds Wyvern some missiles. It's just not as fun as Giganto in my opinion. The spectacle is cool and all, but if I'm getting annoyed by the actual game, that doesn't really help. The music is still absolutely amazing, though I don't even have to mention this in every paragraph. This one is good, but it goes below Giganto. Wait just a minute, hold on. Could that be Eva Unit 5 from Rebuild 2? This boss fight fucking rules. I don't really feel like talking too much about climbing the Titan. It's weirdly easy for the last boss fight with a beginning like this, but I don't really care. They really don't add anything to the fight anyways. But it's time I talk about the absolute peak of this game. This boss fight is so damn cool. Oh my god. Easily the absolute peak of scale and spectacle in this game in my opinion. Everything from riding the shield, the parry attack animation, which is way better here because you don't have to restart the whole phase because he just appears back in front of you, and slicing Knight with a sword at the very end. God, that was so cool. I was pointing at the screen screaming like the soy jack when that happened. And oh my god, the song. I know I just said I didn't have to mention it for every single boss, but this is actually just my favorite boss theme from this whole game and one of my favorites in the whole series. I do have to complain about some small things in this fight, sadly. First of all, riding the shield. It's awesome and generally fun enough, but sometimes the missiles completely mess you up and just don't let you get to Knight at all. It didn't happen to me at all during this run though, so I don't have the footage, but you'll just have to take my word for it. He has a bit of an issue where he's hard to hit because he moves around so much, and since the camera follows Sonic and not Knight, you just can't see him sometimes. Also, knocking Knight's shield back at him in the second phase is cool and all, but the range is kinda small and he really has to be in a perfect spot to actually hit him. Also, why does it play a whole ass cutscene whenever you get hit? The way it was handled in the first two bosses was completely fine. Amazing boss, by the way, definitely my favorite in the whole game. Spoilers for the rest of the list, I guess. Wait, is that Evangelion? I'm just gonna say it up front, this is easily the lamest boss in the whole game. I would talk about climbing the boss, but this fight doesn't have that. Eggman just kinda gives you the last Chaos Emerald, then you start fighting him right off. And honestly, I'm perfectly fine with that. Those segments really did just add nothing to the fight. This boss is so weird. Each boss before this kept stepping up the scale of everything. This one just feels really bland like Giganto did, which is perfectly fine for Giganto since that's the very first boss of the game, but it's really weird for this boss to just feel super bland. What do you even do in this fight? He basically just flies around shooting about 1 billion projectiles at you. I tried attacking the things that shoot the projectiles, it didn't do anything. I tried parrying the projectiles, nothing. The parry just doesn't work against Supreme's direct attacks in my experience. I'll be holding the parry button, but he just attacks me in this super long cutscene anyways. I could never figure out how to prevent this, so I just figured it was better to get hit by him. I just feel so directionless when fighting this guy. It feels like I'm being randomly attacked and flung around for a while till the ending QuickTime event happens and I win. By the way, is it just me or is that QuickTime event really messed up? Like, he'll be stuck at the health where it's supposed to happen for a while, but I'm just attacking him non-stop and nothing happens until it suddenly just happens, or I die. Horrible boss. I'm here just not hit as hard as a boss theme as the others.
This one okay, Kettle Team? Let's do this.
The ending of this is also so damn underwhelming. I know it's because Sonic couldn't destroy the Titan because it's used for the real final boss, but I really don't care. A better ending would have saved this maybe. Easily at the very bottom, this boss fight just did nothing for me. I don't even have to mention the reference here. You already know what this moon is like. Alright, so let me get this straight. The final boss of your game, where every other boss has been a massive speed-em-up screamo music fest with a lot of QuickTime events, but then your big final boss is Ikaruga for babies? This boss fight is pretty solid. It's a pretty standard twin-stick shooter where you fight the moon. My biggest problem is just how it feels really unfinished. Sonic's Schizo speech at the beginning is my biggest reason for thinking this.
He took your home world. He took your lives. Are you going to let him do it all over again? I need your help. We can end this. Please.
Amazing moment, don't get me wrong. Like, if this speech was in the right context, I'd like it even more. But who is he even talking to? It's phrased like he's talking to the Ancients, but literally none of them are there. It's just him and Sage. This just makes me think it was supposed to be a massive showdown with all the Titans helping out, but had to be cut short due to limited death time or whatever. So they just reskinned a minigame from a different part of the game and called it a day. I know Kishimoto was taking feedback about it on Twitter the other day, so maybe it'll be updated at some point. But as it is now, it's just fine. Super underwhelming as the final boss of the game though, with boss fights as cool as Knight and Giganto. But you already know what I'm gonna say, this music though, oh my goodness. Easily one of the best final boss themes in the whole series. I'd say top 5 probably, maybe even top 3, I'm not sure. Either way, the song's amazing, the boss is alright, god I hate Supreme. Oh yeah, I also completely forgot to mention this when writing the script, but like, there's like these monologues from the end during the boss, and these are great, like when you go and listen to them outside of the boss, but actually trying to listen to them in the boss, there's all this shooting and like music going everywhere with no subtitles. I get why there's no subtitles, it's a twin-stick shooter, you need to focus, but like come on now, I can't hear all this monologues. And that's it. That's every supersonic boss fight in Frontiers. A series of ups and supremes. This game in general is really good with boss fights. I like a lot of the Guardians too, but this isn't about them. I'm really glad this game brought us back to massive scale supersonic bosses. It felt like Sega was horrified at being made fun of for being like Dragon Ball Z for a while there, but I'm glad it seems they've lightened up on that a lot clearly. It just adds a lot of grandiose to the fights, being an unstoppable force fighting an immovable object, and these fights, except for the last two, handle that great. Of course, I really liked all of the Evangelion influence. It got me pointing at the screen like, oh my god, people need to stop acting like this is DBZ inspired. It's clearly more Ava inspired. Anyways, here's the final ranking. At the very bottom, you got Supreme. God, I hate Supreme. Then it's the end. Then you got Wyvern, Giganto, and finally, at the very top, Knight. This is fun. I love playing through the best parts of the game again without having to touch Chaos Island again. Once again, check out the description for the mod links if you really want to refight all the bosses too. And with all that said, I think I'm finally done with Frontiers. Nearly 40 hours on Steam, all the achievements. It's over. I'm done. Until the post-launch DLC comes out, of course.